Yeah. Wait for it to come on. Right. We're there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is begin again. Do the slideshow from the beginning. Okay. The relationship counselling. So you would have joined this workshop been given relevant codes to the left of the classroom as quiz area. Once you completed your quiz, please email team@thedigitalpsychic.com. You'll receive a certification of completion when you get 85% or over. You are welcome to continue development with me and request to join Facebook Messenger practice area. Please do contact Rachel Gibson BA on this page if you wish to. I hope you enjoyed this workshop short course. I use various resources discussed via webinar, bringing you useful resources from the internet, collaborating it with my own experiences. Now, there's various types of counselling: marriage, family counselling, guidance, career counselling, rehabilitation counselling, mental health counselling, substance abuse counselling, educational counselling, and very other types. So there's various types. There's behavioural therapy, cognitive analytical therapy, cognitive behavioural therapy, which is also known as CBT, cognitive therapy on its own, and family therapy, Gestalt therapy, hypnotherapy, and integrative approaches. Now, behavioral therapy are based on the way you think. So it's cognitive, which is the way you think, and or the way you behave. These therapies recognize that it is possible to change or recondition our thoughts of behavior to overcome specific problems. Psychoanalytical and psychodynamic therapies are based on individuals' unconscious thoughts and their perceptions that have developed throughout their childhood and how these affect their current behavior and thoughts. This is a humanistic approach. It's humanistic therapy, which focuses on the self-development of the here and now. So it's more psychological. So there's various approaches that counsellors and psychotherapist practitioners use. Integrative therapy is where they blend specific types of techniques. Other practitioners use an eclectic approach, taking elements of the several different models, and what they do is they combine them and they use different approaches which can be used in the counselling and psychotherapy process. Adlerian therapy focuses on creating a therapeutic relationship that is cooperative and encouraging and practical. Adlerian counsellors help clients explore their unique lifestyle, private logic, and their core beliefs about the self, others, and their world. It's very more sociological, and it increases the understanding of and challenging the habitual patterns of behaviour and hidden goals. It's educative process of dialogue and insight, encouragement, reorientation, and enablement towards useful involvement and contribution to society as a whole. Now, behavioral therapy is based on the belief that behavior is learned in a response to past experiences and can be unlearned. So it's more looking at the nurturing of somebody, because these are reconditions, without analysing the past to find the reasons for that behaviour. So what they would do is look at the whole picture, and they would look at why that behaviour is the way it is, taking into account maybe environmental factors. So in psychology, what they have is what is classed as nature and nurture debate. We're not psychologists, not at all. However, that approach is psychological behavioral therapy, and there would have been lots of models used whilst building that therapy. And what they look at is the nature and the nurture debate, which has been discussed throughout in hypothesis with their psychologists for many years. So brief therapy, that's the cognitive behavioral approach, with a small planned number of sessions and possibly a single follow-up session after some time has elapsed. Then you have cognitive analytical therapy, which combines the cognitive therapy and psychotherapy and encourages clients to draw on their own resources to develop their skills to change destructive patterns of behavior. Negative ways of thinking are explored and treatment is structured and directive, involving diary keeping and process charts, normally used in things like when people are being analysed for, say, conditions such as bipolar and things like that. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, that combines cognitive and behavioral techniques. The clients are taught ways to change thoughts and expectations, and relaxation techniques are used. Eclectic counselling involves selecting what is applicable to the client from the range of theories, methods, and practices. Justification is based on the theory that there is no proof that not one theory approach works better than any of the others. So it's very eclectic. It's rather looking at more of a broader approach. Now, EMDR involves stimulation of the lobe of the brain by using eye movements, which is believed replicates of what appears to happen in REM, which is REM sleep. This allows a natural processing of traumatic events or disturbing memories to take place. It is particularly useful for post-traumatic stress disorder. So this counselling is based on the belief that the life has no essential. There's no given meaning. Any meaning has to be found or created. Existential counselling involves making sense of life through a personal worldview and includes a willingness to face one's life and life's problems. Gestalt therapy was derived from the German for organized whole and is based on the belief that the human responses are an experience which sums up a person's thoughts, feelings, and actions. The client actually gains self-awareness by analyzing their behavior and the body language and giving expression to repressed feelings. So this treatment often includes acting out scenarios and dream recall. So what people would do is actually look at different patterns and stuff like that, analyzing the behavior and body language through learning how they're expressing and trying to get rid of some of those repressed feelings, because sometimes what happens is feelings are repressed and also suppressed. Human Gibson therapy encompasses all effective approaches to helping people, and whatever has occurred because of ideology, it's truly holistic, scientific, and practical. The humanistic psychotherapy embraces techniques coming from the personal growth movement and encourages people to explore their feelings, taking responsibility for their thoughts and actions. The emphasis on self-development and achieving those highest potential rather than dysfunctional behavior. So it's very client-centered based or non-directive approach. It's often used, and the therapy can be described as holistic, and the client's creative instincts may be used to explore and resolve personal issues. Integrative counselling is when several distinct models of counselling and psychotherapy are used together in a converging way rather than separately. Many counsellors use one core theory model of counselling, but draw on those techniques and styles from all various approaches when appropriate, though. Neurologistics, which is NLP, is described as the psychology of excellence. It actually sees the world of excellence where people can be facilitated in creating their own choice and flexibility. Presuppositions are used as the basic operating principles, and some examples being human behavior is purposeful. But we either already have all the resources we need or we can create them. So we model successful performance leads, which actually leads to that excellence. So if one person can do it, it's possible to model it, teach it, and then develop it. In NLP modeling, it means to find out exactly how someone does something and reshape it. The core of NLP is the process of replicating the excellence with the goal of excellence for all. So it's a bit of a like the bigger picture, the bigger society sort of, if you're looking on it from a sociological terms, but in a psychological terms, we're looking at the individual, and the excellence go for them, but for the excellence of all, because what happens is if someone else can do it, basically, so can another. Primal therapy is based on the theory that suppressed birth or infancy traumas can resurface as neurosis, and the therapy takes the client back to the primal scene where trauma is experienced, and then do an emotional cleansing, because sometimes what happens is even being born apparently is a process in itself and very traumatic. Psychoanalyst focuses on the work of Sigmund Freud, who believed that the unacceptable thoughts of early childhood are banished to the unconscious mind, but continues to influence thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Repressed feelings can surface later as conflicts, depression, dreams, creative activities, and the analyst seeks to interpret and make it acceptable to the client's conscious mind. So it's actually tapping into the subconscious mind in order to get it to the conscious mind, and getting these troublesome feelings and relationships from the past sort of resolved. It's very transparent onto the analyst of the feelings about figures in the client's life is encouraged. This type of therapy is often used by clients suffering very high levels of stress and can be lengthy and a very intensive process. Psychodynamic counselling or psychotherapy, it stresses the importance of the unconscious and past experiences in determining current behaviour. So the client is encouraged to talk about childhood relationships with parents and other significant people. And the therapist focuses on the client or therapist relationships and looks at the dynamics, looking at behaviour, looking at the way that they're interacting. And the psychodynamic approach is derived from psychoanalysts, but usually provides a very quick solution to emotional problems. Psychosynthesis and transpersonal is sometimes described as psychology of the soul. What this does is aims to integrate or synthesize the level of consciousness which thoughts and emotions are experienced with the higher spiritual level of consciousness. Painting, movement, other techniques can be used to recognize and value different facets of the personality, and it can be useful for people seeking a more spiritually orientated vision of themselves. Rebirthing is based on the theory that emotional or physical traumas during birth create feelings of separation or fear in later life. Breathing techniques are used to release tension whilst the client re-experiences traumatic emotions. Solution-focused group therapy promotes positive changes rather than dwelling on past problems, and the clients are encouraged to focus positively on what they do well and to set those goals, work out how to achieve them. As little as 3 or 4 sessions may be beneficial. Systemic therapies are therapies which have their aim a change in the transactional pattern of members, and it can be used as the generic term for family therapy and marital therapy. TA is based on the belief that everyone has a child, adult, and parent self within them. So that's like the id, ego, and all of that as well. And superego and stuff like that, which was one of Freud's theories, essentially. So it's one self that predominates. By recognizing these roles, a client chooses which one to adopt to, and that can then change that behavior. This form of therapy has produced the term inner child, used to describe unfulfilled needs from childhood. So there would have been quite a lot of debates and approaches around that theory, as there is in a lot of these practices, and a lot of theorists like Freud would have debated that, and others would have counter-argued his opinions and stuff like that, because and that's why sometimes people go for the more eclectic approach. Transpersonal therapy describes any form of counselling or psychotherapy which places the emphasis on spirituality, human potential, or heightened consciousness, and that does include psychosynthesis. Person-centered counselling is based on the assumption that an individual seeking help in the resolution of a problem can enter into a relationship with another individual, such as a counsellor, who is sufficiently accepting and permissive to allow the client to freely express their emotions. What this actually does is enables the client to come to terms with those negative feelings which may have caused emotional problems and develop their inner resources. Humanistic therapies help individuals recognize their strengths, creativity, and choice in the here and now. So welcome to this professional course on relationship counselling. This is an in-depth study course and considered as an add-on for professional counsellors. It's also suitable for study alongside a traditional counselling qualification. So drug use. If either client is turning to alcohol or drug use, even as a primary way of coping with problems in the relationship, emotionally focused therapy is not to be considered in the first instance. It's so much better to recommend the client to seek that behavioural therapy. There are limitations in relationship counselling. It's not acceptable to take on people with when one partner is dominating, trying to control the relationship, power and control tactics are used, violence is occurring, control tactics, emotional abuse, and using children as a weapon. These need specialist support, so please do refer to behavioural therapists. Relationship therapy will not be helpful if one of the both partners are indulging in an affair with others, because if they have no desire to finish the affair, what is the point in them actually even coming to you for counselling? Mental health also, it would also be unhelpful when one or both of the partners have unresolved mental health issues, as in the following examples. Depression, this is clinical depression, which needs to be treated successfully before relationship counselling can take place, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, because this may be caused through emotional abuse, physical or sexual abuse, and it should be treated as a priority before the relationship counselling actually takes place. So what you would do is refer to a specialist. Personality disorders, this must be prioritised and treated before undergoing relationship therapy and assessed by a mental health worker or a practitioner such as a psychotherapist or like a psychologist or a psychiatric, I'm thinking what the word is now, or a psychiatric, but someone very professional. Counselling looks at the emotions behind the cycles, and what it does is aim for the relationship closeness. It's advantageous to see both clients together rather than to see them individually as you begin the sessions. Both partners are responsible, and so both must work together to aid that progress. And quite often men are reluctant to go to counselling sessions because they are worried that they may be blamed for the current situation. You need to focus when you're working with your clients. You must understand that it is the relationship that is the client and not the individuals involved. Your focus has to be on the issue. There has to be boundaries. You, as a counsellor, are not to have sexual relationships. No talking of your own issues. Not going out socialising with clients. Make sure that you've consent forms. Ensure that you have policies in place and understand limitations. Conflict is part of relationships. It's simply that since no two people are exactly the same, you won't see the world the same way. That's why there are many, many different couples counselling techniques. Gottman method is couples therapy has benefited for 3 decades of research and practice in clinical settings with more than 3,000 couples. And the Gottman method uses couples counselling techniques to increase affection, closeness, and respect. These techniques help resolve conflict when you feel like you are an impasse. You and your partner learn to understand one another and discuss problems calmly. So this methodology here is a session with a couple. It will be followed by individual interviews with each partner, which are then conducted. The couple completes questionnaires. They then receive detailed feedback on their relationship. And the therapeutic framework, the couple and therapist decide on the frequency and duration of the session. Interventions are designed to help couples strengthen their relationships in 3 primary areas: friendships, conflict management, and creation of shared meaning. Couples learn to replace negative conflict patterns with positive interactions and repair past hurts. Interventions designed to increase closeness, intimacy, are used to improve that friendship and deepen emotional connection and create changes which enhances the couple's shared goals. Relapse prevention is also addressed, and the reason for this is because a lot of time in relationships what people will do is blame. There's a tendency to blame each other without actually trying to resolve the actual issue at hand. So we always focus on the issue, not the individuals. So when you're counselling somebody, you don't go to look to blame them or go, oh, I like him or I like her, she's really nice, I like what she's wearing. What you actually do is you focus on the actual issue at hand. So what I was thinking for you to do is get into the chat area on Facebook and discussing in Facebook chat, why do marriages succeed or fail? What is your opinion on this? And if you're not in the chat, please do email team@thedigitalpsychic.com. Thank you for joining me today. We will be carrying on with this at a later date. Thank you. It's very intense course, so it has to be because we're dealing with people and their problems. Thank you so much.